Hello and welcome to another Canguro English Daily Digest. My name is Christian and today is Wednesday, best day of the week. And also it's Messy Desk Wednesday. Today I want to talk about something that I have received a lot of emails and messages about recently. I don't know why, but these things, they seem to come in waves. So, for some reason, I've had a lot of people asking me about how do I improve my English? Sometimes I receive an email and that's the only question, how do I improve my English? Specifically, how do I improve my English writing? Obviously, everybody in July is trying to improve their writing. I don't know why. And I'm going to answer this question in two parts. So, first I want to do a little bit of time travel and go back 80 years. Yes, again, I'm going to read from my beautiful book from 1939, okay? Just to remind you, listen to this. Nothing is so likely to dam the natural flow of our thoughts or to arrest the fluent running of our pen as over-anxious concern about details of grammar or spelling. Let your pen run freely in pace with your thoughts, and then when your writing is done, it's time to read through it in search of possible errors in punctuation or spelling or grammar. And to those who fear of making such errors, I would say that on the whole, it's better to have something to say and make mistakes in saying it than to have nothing to say and say it in faultless language. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Yes. 80 years of knowledge, okay? Now, fine. Is that advice for writing, really? Well, let's get a little bit more sort of specific. So when you sit down to write, it's actually really easy to write. All you have to do is sit down and bleed. That's actually a very famous quotation in the world of writing. You just sit down and bleed. Writing is easy. And what it means is that good writing comes from practicing of writing. Right? I mean, you wouldn't ask somebody, hey, how do I get better at playing tennis? Do I read a book about tennis? Do I watch YouTube videos about tennis? Do I just sit and think about tennis? No, you go and play more tennis. And people think there's some gigantic mystery about how you improve your writing. There's no mystery. If you want to be a better writer, you just sit down and write a lot. Okay? And there's another quotation that I want to tell you about, a famous quotation, which is, a professional writer is just an amateur writer who didn't give up. And what it means is that everybody who's good at writing, they started being very bad at writing, but they kept practicing. Okay, so let's get a little bit more specific. And so in the book, it actually gives you some activities, some suggestions about how you can practice writing. And one of the suggestions, which was really good, is you go back to basics. Okay, so you choose an object around you. Any object. Could be your mobile telephone. Could be this weird post box from England, right? And then you just write a description of that thing. But you can write various descriptions from the point of view of various different imaginary characters. So I could describe this from the point of view of a 5-year-old child. I could describe this from the point of view of a grumpy old man. I could describe this from the point of view of an English teacher on YouTube. And what that does is it teaches you to inhabit characters. It teaches you to practice using different ways of describing things, different sentence lengths, different different styles depending on your character. It's a simple exercise. No magic, no mystery. And this brings me on to part 2 of what I want to talk about. Because when I get an email from somebody that says, in one sentence, how do I improve my English? I want you to remember something, okay? The reason that I spend all of my time trying to debunk and demystify English learning is because I want you to realize that all of the power to learn English is in your hands. So when you send me an email and say things like, how do I improve my English, teacher? Or you say something like, I can't learn English because there's no teachers in my city. Or I don't know how to improve my writing, right? Then what you're doing is you're pushing the responsibility onto other people, onto me. And what I've been trying to tell people for years and years and years is that you need to take back that responsibility and that power, right? You need to have volition. And this is today's word of the day, volition. Now, volition comes from the very same root as the word will. Now, you know, we use will in English to talk about the future. But it's different from going to. Going to talks about the future based on what's happening now, right? Based on present evidence. It's a prediction based on present evidence. Will is a prediction based on your will, based on your volition. Your volition is the decision that you make, the things that you want, the things that you desire. That's what your volition is, right? And so you have to have volition if you want to succeed at being a good writer or a good speaker or a good user of English. And if you're sending me an email, then that means that you have access to the internet. And if you have access to the internet, then you really have zero excuses, because you have access to basically all of human knowledge. You are in one of the luckiest periods of humanity ever. The luckiest period to be alive, right? So if you think that there are no resources available to you to learn how to write or speak or listen or find a conversation partner or whatever, you're very, very, very wrong. And I am telling you this because I want you to take the power back. Stop pushing it onto other people. Take responsibility for your learning. Get curious, okay? And take a moment to realize how lucky you are. And I want to finish by telling you the story of some school children in Vietnam. Now, these children in Vietnam, they normally go to school by crossing a river. Okay? And normally they cross the river on a wooden raft. But unfortunately, at the moment, this river is in flood. It has too much water. It's very swollen. So they can't cross the river on the raft. So what the parents do is the parents put the children inside plastic bags and they drag them across the river, and it looks like this. And the reason that the parents put them in a plastic bag, which is extremely dangerous for various reasons, because of oxygen and because they could float away down the river. The reason they do it is because they don't want their children to get their school uniforms dirty and wet. And then when the children reach the other side of the water, they have to walk for 5 hours to school, 5 hours to go and learn. And that means that during the week, they don't come home. They stay there, and they only come home on the weekends. Now, if these children can get dragged across a river in a plastic bag and walk 5 hours to school and they don't see their parents all week, and you're telling me that you can't learn how to write or speak or do all of those basic things, you need to realize how lucky you are. And please take the power back and get some volition. I'm Christian, this is Canguro English, and I'll see you in class.